So, hello everybody. Thank you for coming. Um, this is Dr. Richard Sonegan, and my background is that of I'm a veterinary doctor, and I have an MSc in wild animal health from London, University of London, and also an MSc in international animal welfare ethics and law. So the reason I come today is talk about what many would think, would consider to be a rather controversial discussion. This is about our wildlife tourism, in Africa, especially. I'll talk about Africa because I've spent many years working with African wildlife and worked with tourists, and I've also traveled, and several developed countries, and I've seen the level of tourism out there and the benefits that come from it. So, my topic today is that we've undervalued, or undersold our tourism in Africa. And why am I saying that? When everybody thinks that, we're doing well in countries like South Africa, countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, I would consider to be quite advanced in their wildlife tourism. I feel that we we have undervalued our wildlife mainly because, whereas these benefits that we accrue from tourists, um, you know, from many different aspects of tourism, like airlines, transporters, entry fees, in the hospitality industry, like accommodation and all the related service providers. The value for what we get from the tourism and the cost of the tourism on the habitat, on the environment, and ultimately the animals may not be justified. Tourists have got a carbon print, that is number one. Presence of tourists due to the poverty, that is found in most of these remote areas where wildlife is found, essentially promotes or fuels the migration of populations around animals, around animal habitats. And that has got a profound effect. One of them is poaching, undue pressure on the environment, and destruction of their habitat through construction of roads. Obviously, pollution, either water pollution, noise pollution, um, fumes, and all sorts of, impacts that and disease. We've had of you know about gorillas in Windy catching scabies, from humans, catching respiratory infections, and diseases that are very, pathogenic, virulent to primates like tuberculosis and all these public health conditions like diarrhea, basically enteric bacteria like Shigella and those kinds of um, diseases. The cost, if it is quantified on the environment, on the animals, both long, both short term, mid term, and long term, is heavy. And for what we accrue from the business, you know, needs to be looked at again. And we have to determine whether it is actually worthwhile. My feeling is it's not worthwhile in order for us to get enough money, enough resources or income from the tourism, especially our kind of tourism that is mainly done in very delicate habitats. We have to bring in huge numbers, and the huge numbers means a heavy impact. And certainly, this produces a counteractive effect. On the flip of the coin, when you look at the kind of tourism that is offered, in Europe and in all these advanced countries, you find it is mass tourism. If you talk about going to the Louvre, going to Milan, the Sistine Chapel in Rome, or going to Florence or London, the kind of tourism there is mass tourism. And mass tourism doesn't mean that it is cheaper. It is just as expensive. So it's the kind of resources we accrue from our tourism in Africa is certainly not commensurate, to the impact the tourism has on the environment, on the animals, and obviously on the people. Because at the end of the day, the wildlife is our heritage. It needs to be protected, for the future generations. And with the pressures, due to population growth, you know, that we're encountering, in most of these habitats, we should be very careful what more pressures we subject to these habitats and animals. We have noticed that lions in Masai Mara, fail to hunt because of the number of vehicles that queue up, whenever rangers sight um, an impending hunt. They radio call everybody, and about 20, 30 vehicles drive up to this location. And this either distracts the hunting lioness, or they scare the prey. And this is a very frustrating situation. We've had, we've seen gorillas, like I already mentioned, catching scabies, respiratory conditions, the effect of heavy traffic, people trekking the gorillas has got a bearing on the behavior of the animals. It's got a bearing on the well-being. We need to study more about the effect of these kind of uh, circumstances we subject these animals to fully understand what the real cost is. Our real cost of tourism is to animals. And essentially, what I'm saying is that we shouldn't measure the the tourism potential or the tourism rates of our delicate African habitat with that that you see in advanced countries, where it's mainly concrete, steel, stone surfaces you're dealing with, and maybe glass, as opposed to tender undergrowth of an equatorial forest, where every time a trekking group, walks through, the ranger is moving with the machete, cutting a path through, and it's this kind of thing. All the damage that is caused in the process, has got an impact ultimately to the animals. It's got an impact to the environment, and certainly it has a long-term impact, to other issues that affect humans directly. So, what is the remedy? And this is my opinion. I feel that we should limit the tourism to very few privileged individuals that can afford it, and not extend it to anyone, you know, that wants to visit the national park and take pictures. It should be expensive, it should be exclusive, it should be worth it. And it should be promoted, as a high-end experience rather than a normal experience where there are rebates and there are, offers and things like that, mainly because the cost of running this tourism is heavy. It is a heavy cost. Other individuals would like to see the same animals. They can always go to the sanctuaries, animal parks, animal rescues, and find them there. This will raise, the income that we get from the tourism. It will protect the environment. It will keep animal habitats pristine, and it will give a better experience to the visitors. The visitors will be willing to pay more for that kind of experience than what we're offering them at the moment. Thank you.